Hi, my name is Federico Zaina. I'm an archaeologist and I work as the head of the Department of Collection and Research at the Museo Egizio of Turin. In this short video, I want to illustrate the connection between the emergence of the Anthropocene and the growing destruction of heritage on a global scale. My scope is that of briefly explaining to all of you that while since human ingenuity has propelled us into an era of unprecedented progress, the same momentum is also endangering the very heritage that tells the story of our past. To do so, let me first introduce the term Anthropocene. Roughly coined 25 years ago by the Nobel Prize Paul Crutzen, this word refers to a phase in planetary history during which humans began to exert a decisive impact on Earth. This impact is the result of the cumulative effect of multiple direct or indirect human-induced activities, including the growth of urban population, of the global GDP, the construction of large dams and other transport infrastructures, as well as the dramatic increase of ocean acidification, global surface, or water use. To better conceptualize the unprecedented effects of these and other human activities on the planet, a group of scholars gathered in the Anthropocene Working Group calculated the growth of each trend over a multi-century scale, beginning with the Industrial Revolution and extending to the present day. Their findings were striking, revealing that almost all these trends experienced a sharp increase beginning in the 1950s and continued today. This phenomenon, known as the Great Acceleration and possibly fostered by specific political and economic models, has been used to justify the beginning of a new geological epoch, the Anthropocene, or the human epoch. However, although the possibility of designating the Anthropocene as the new geological epoch in which we live has recently been rejected by the International Commission on Stratigraphy, the same commission has emphasized that the term will continue to be an invaluable definition of the human impact on the Earth system, to which I would like to add also on our past. It is at this point that the connection between the emergence of the Anthropocene and the growing destruction of heritage on a global scale becomes apparent. Heritage destruction has been occurring for centuries, and it is important to bear in mind that not all the scholars share the concern regarding the destruction of heritage sites and their necessary protection. Several critical heritage studies and post-human approaches have in fact emphasized that heritage has always been subject to destruction, and in certain cases that the past must yield space to the present and the future. However, the destruction of the past I am referring to involves those places that hold one or more meanings for individuals and groups of people, what we technically refer to as heritage values. These values help people in defining their cultural identity. But of course, this can evolve over time, and we must recognize that a place may have different values for different people. But what has been happening with increasing intensity for the last 70 years is that despite thousands of places around the world holding one or more values for certain people, these sites are often damaged, removed, or completely destroyed to make way for roads or large dams, to build houses, or to extract raw materials when a monument is located in a mining area, and so on. Therefore, we might hypothesize that the roots of this problem lie in the onset of the Great Acceleration and consequently the Anthropocene. Recent research suggests that from the 1950s to present, the race for human development has contributed to the destruction of thousands of heritage sites worldwide. As the trends associated with the Great Acceleration and thus the Anthropocene have increased, so too has the destruction of archaeological sites, ancient villages, and monuments around the globe. These places once held value for someone. So we might say that in building our present and future, we are in effect destroying our past and cultural identities. This initial theoretical framework is what is missing in the current debate on the destruction of our past worldwide. Major narratives tend to focus on the general issue of climate change or blame wars, thereby only identifying individual trends without providing a comprehensive picture. This led to specific, tailor-made solutions that used advanced technological tools like satellites or drones to identify, mitigate, and monitor the effects of destructive events. In other cases, emphasis is placed on the importance of local communities and their ancient, often neglected traditional practices, such as the Persian qanats, used to combat water shortages. Yet numerous national and international laws, protocols, and conventions have been adopted in recent years to protect heritage. These approaches are often applied in isolation, and as such, their overall impact can be significantly reduced and ultimately ineffective in the long term. A law that is not developed through a participatory approach risks being opposed or disregarded. A community that struggles alone to defend its rights and heritage is likely to fail if local governments or other communities do not support or actively oppose its efforts. Similarly, scientific research findings risk being ignored or remaining confined to an ivory tower unless they are communicated through engagement with local communities and political institutions. The theoretical and temporal perspective provided by the Anthropocene, however, allows us to understand that this phenomenon has deep roots, and for the time being, it will continue to destroy our past. Addressing it requires an integrated approach that brings together multiple actors, including local communities, institutions, and researchers, uniting different approaches. Future initiatives aimed at protecting our heritage must ensure that the comprehensive integration and implementation of actions involving all necessary people if they are to effectively counteract the impact of the Anthropocene on heritage.